What's going on, crypto fam? It's David with Sin City Crypto, and I'm joined with Robin. And today we are talking about, is Bitcoin in trouble? Is the network in trouble? Let's not waste any time and let's get right into it. The Bitcoin mining difficulty soars. This source from Crypto Slate. The Bitcoin mining difficulty saw its sharpest adjustment this year, increasing by 13%, the largest increase since July of last year. The hash rate also hit an all-time high at 240 exahashes per second. Current miner revenue stands at 4 Bitcoin, or around $80,000 a day. We'll talk about why that's an issue. Also, with energy prices expected to soar through the winter, miners could see their revenues drop even further. Couple that with the price of Bitcoin dropping. One key element that we're going to talk about is Compute North, the largest data service center for miners in, I believe, the world. I could be wrong, but at least in North America. They filed for bankruptcy on September 22nd. They owed up to $500 million to at least 200 creditors, and they struggled to survive amid slumping Bitcoin prices, rising power costs, and record difficulty in mining Bitcoin. Now, this was about, call it 20 days ago. Now, difficulty has gotten worse and prices have slumped and energy costs is going higher. So who's next, right? Well, Marathon Digital, there are rumors that they might be on the brink of bankruptcy. This is sourced from CoinDesk. They had $31 million in exposure to Compute North. They also paid about $50 million in operating deposits to same company. And shares of Marathon have fallen 61% this year. And finally, to share a couple charts, this is the chart from Glassnode on Bitcoin mining difficulty. You can see they have been moving in inverse for quite some time now, which is not good. So mining difficulty goes up, which essentially means mining a block of Bitcoin gets harder. You need more hash power, which obviously is going to cost more money. And then the last graph I want to show, also from Glassnode, this puts in Bitcoin price, which is in gray, compared to miner revenue per exahash in US dollars, which is in blue, and miner revenue per exahash in Bitcoin, which is in orange. You can see we are at all-time lows on miner revenue per exahash when related to Bitcoin. Robin, went over a lot. Okay. I am legitimately concerned. Are you concerned like I am, or is this just FUD or nothing to really worry about?
It depends on what you're concerned about. If you're concerned about Bitcoin going to zero and the network collapsing, no, Bitcoin will be fine. It'll find its way. If people exit the market as far as miners, someone will come in and replace them, or at least someone's hash rate will come in and replace them. It doesn't have to be a new player. So the Bitcoin network will be fine. But short term, there are tons of implications. There are tons of secondary effects that come from these giant mining companies, publicly traded companies, that have such dominance when it comes to the Bitcoin rewards from mining that who knows what the chain reaction or events or dominoes, what that'll look like if one of the major top three, which formerly top, at the head of mining as far as hash rate, only to be replaced by Core Scientific. Marathon. If they were to go under, like, what does that look like? What does that do to our space? You brought up a couple of interesting things on those charts. For one, you have profitability in the dumps. If you were to look at how much it costs to operate, the cost of energy is going up. The hash rate difficulty of mining is going up. The price of Bitcoin is going down. And not to mention, a lot of these companies had leveraged tons of debt to buy new ASICs during the last bull run, where not only were there an extreme demand for ASICs, but there was a shortage on chips. So a lot of these mining companies overpaid for their ASICs.
That's a great point.
And so not only did they overpay for it, but they leveraged debt. And on top of that, they have to make interest payments. They have to pay it back. And they have a extremely slim profit margin now. The hash rate's going up and the price of Bitcoin is going down. I mean, from a pure business analytic, just subjective view, it is a really crappy business model right now, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the cost to produce the product is growing exponentially, and the price that you the return on said commodity is exponentially more expensive. Profits are extremely thin, and now you also have interest payments and loans that you need to pay back. On top of that, just to make it even worse, it's a publicly traded company with the stock down over 60%. Remember, stocks generally aren't supposed to be down that much. You know, there's supposed to be less volatility in the stock market. We're not talking about crypto. So the stock is way down. And that's the backbone of funding right there. And then you got exposure to another crypto based company, a data firm, and they're probably not going to get paid back. What do they owe to, like $50 million?
Well, the grand total was over 80 million, which might not seem like a lot of money, you guys.
That's a lot of money.
Which might not seem, but in the current circumstances, with everything working against mining companies like Marathon, that could be a nail in the coffin. And what worries me the most is the barrier to entry to mine Bitcoin is getting so high that if one of these large companies fails, or some of these other large mining facilities, mining companies like Core Scientific, like Riot, like Marathon, if they decide, hey guys, it's more beneficial to our company's health to unplug ASICs versus borrow money, take on debt, and upgrade the ASIC units so they're more cost efficient when it comes to energy. If they decide to do that, one of two things is going to happen. One, the hash rate will plummet. The network will become frail, which I don't think that'll happen. Or number two, which I think will most likely happen, is you'll either get a company that's already in the space like Core Scientific that's got a lot of money behind them come up and scoop up all that hash rate, essentially in some way making the Bitcoin network a little more centralized, right? Not as decentralized as, say, having 12 major mining facilities mining Bitcoin versus having 4 or 5, right? So that is what worries me. On top of that, the borrowing money is getting more expensive. So if you look at someone like Marathon, who might be on the brink of bankruptcy, now these are rumors, okay? Normally, you could go borrow money, pay your debts back, and try to rebuild that way. But it's more expensive to borrow money. On top of that, who's going to look at a company like Marathon in Bitcoin mining when the price is down and difficulty's up and the hash rate is up and say, yeah, we'll lend you $500 million to stay in business? I mean, it's possible, but those lending firms or banks are few and far between. And so, and I understand there's thousands of nodes that operate on the Bitcoin network, but hash power is what drives Bitcoin. It is what drives the network. And so to me, in the short term, and I agree with Robin, I don't think Bitcoin is going to zero. We saw what happened when miners had to pull out of China. The Bitcoin hash rate dipped significantly, but guess what? Bitcoin didn't go to zero. There was no hijacking of the network, and it was fine. And can I see something like that happen? Yes. Could it be worse? Possibly, because the price of Bitcoin right now is teetering on. Are we going to drop to 10K or we're going to go back up to 30K for a short period of time? Include that with macroeconomics. Short term, not good for the Bitcoin network. That's what I have to say about the topic. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to expand on, Robin.
Well, here's the thing. We saw it with Terra Luna. Cascading liquidation. Now, there isn't custodial service and, inner borrowing between Marathon and other crypto platforms. However, there is a host of Bitcoin that would probably get liquidated. There's going to be, if there is a bankruptcy, that's the subject matter here. If there's a bankruptcy, you're talking about the liquidation of all the Bitcoin on hand. And then also you got to incorporate the fear that comes with it, right? The news breaks. Big company, Marathon goes under, hash rate's high. The hash rate it lags a little bit. So if the price of Bitcoin dumps, Man, I think it's every 2 weeks they update the hash rate. And
That I'm not sure.
so yeah,
I won't
it's
speak on
not
that, but-
it's not as frequent as you would think it is. And so
And just to put it in perspective, speaking of hash rate, 240 exahashes per second. Marathon currently has about 5.7, and they're expected to go in the teens in the next 2 years. Will that happen? I don't know.
So yeah, if they have to sell, first of all, the news will break. Price of Bitcoin will drop. They'll end up they'll be forced to liquidate. They're probably liquidating now. I mean, maybe that's one of the driving factors behind the price of Bitcoin dropping down under 20K.
Because
right now.
every on-chain analytic tells you Bitcoin should be going up, but it keeps going down. Could this be a reason? Robin brings up a good point.
I think it's a host of factors. You have the
this would be a big
Bitcoin, you
one.
have the macroeconomics, what's going on. I think the only thing really holding Bitcoin at where it's at now and keeping it from dropping is that institutions are adopting Bitcoin, or at least getting into cryptocurrency. And so I think that is the push against the collapse of the price. When I say collapse, I mean, more or less settling in around 10,000. But I do think that if Marathon were to go under, I think it's going to cause cascading issues in the mining. And
Well, here's
I can see some price real big price movement.
And I hate to say this, okay, because no company going into bankruptcy is never a good thing, right? But what's one positive that can come out of it is a fire sale on all the ASIC units and everything they have to mine Bitcoin. You can have the barrier to entry might get lowered just a little bit, just a little nudge for that one company that's been waiting on the sidelines to hop in, essentially take its place. But what's more likely to happen is these companies that are already positioned right now mining, they're going to come scoop up that hash rate. And then now
they're gonna buy all those ASICs that they have at discount. They're gonna absorb them into their network, and then it's gonna be one less player in the field. And I think you're gonna have more centralization. Centralization is coming in mining. It's already here. You have a handful of mining companies mining 90% of the Bitcoin blocks, and so it's
the
just
barrier to entry is just too high for the average person.
As the hash rate goes up, you're pricing out new companies to get in. The barrier entry, as you mentioned, is going to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars,
if not billions, Robin. If not billions.
I mean, eventually, if
this trajectory continues, it will be in
the
the
trajectory continues, it's going to be you want to mine Bitcoin with any kind of frequency, you're going to need billions of dollars to get into the game. That's
to even make it worth your while.
Yeah, and that is forecasting out 5 years.
And how many people or companies have that kind of money to throw into something like Bitcoin mining? Now, we'll end the video on this. We didn't make this video to scare anyone or spread FUD, but here at Sin City Crypto, we will always keep things 100% real and share our thoughts. And these are, of course, just opinions, right? We don't think Bitcoin is going to zero. We don't think Bitcoin is going to crash or the network's going to crash. But in the short term, it is a little concerning, but you can turn that into a positive, knowing if you believe Bitcoin will bounce back from whatever the case may be. And if something like this does unfold and the price drops, it would be a buying opportunity of a lifetime. When Bitcoin makes it out of this current market conditions, when it's macro, crypto, everything is working against. And when Bitcoin comes out of this, nothing will ever be able to bring it down. Mark my words. That'll do it for the video today. Thank you guys so much for watching. On behalf of myself and Robin, we appreciate you. Make sure to come join us Monday through Friday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time for our daily live show. Until then, you guys take care. Peace.